My sister is severely autistic, and I hate her for turning my life into a living nightmare. Nah, I don't care how it sounds. I've been holding this in for years. You'd hate her too if your life looked like mine. I used to have a room, toys, parents who talked to me. Then she was born, and suddenly I'm living in the damp, musty basement like a family pet because she needed to be closer to mom and dad. I was 6. They just shoved me downstairs and never looked back. She destroyed everything I owned, slobbered on my books, ripped the heads off my dolls, poured juice on my sketch pads, and if I cried, she doesn't know better. Be the bigger person. Okay, so I'm just supposed to eat it while she wrecks my stuff? And then the MacBook. School gave it to me because I was top of my class. I was so proud of it. One day, I came home and she'd absolutely demolished it. Smashed screen, keys ripped off, it wouldn't even turn on. School blamed me. My parents blamed me. Like I purposely let a toddler Hulk smash a $1,000 laptop. After that, I wasn't even a person. I was just on call. Babysitter, therapist, human punching bag. I couldn't hang out, couldn't study, couldn't sleep. If she screamed, I had to fix it. If she messed up, I had to clean it. My parents acted like I was a third parent, but without any respect or say in anything. The one time I turned off my phone for 2 hours to watch Spider-Man with my friend Jake, I came out to 30+ missed calls like someone died. I called home and my mom was fuming. Where were you? We needed you. I ran home thinking there was some emergency. You know what happened? She wanted a snack and threw a tantrum. They grounded me for going to a movie. I was 17, and then the speech. I got picked to speak at this big school event. I was so proud. I told them weeks in advance. They said they'd come. I practiced every night like a loser hoping they'd finally care. They didn't show. I stood on stage, scanned the crowd, and nothing. No mom, no dad, just an empty row where they were supposed to be. I texted my mom after. Sorry, she wasn't feeling well. Of course she wasn't. Of course I didn't matter. Then, the college talk. I was finally thinking about my future. I was actually excited. Then my dad hit me with, pick something high paying. You'll need to support your sister after we're gone. And then he laughed. Like my whole life is just this little side quest to keep her alive. Like I wasn't even a real person with my own plans. I snapped, lost it, told him everything. How I felt invisible, how they used me, how I never got to be a kid. He just stared at me, didn't say a word. I locked myself in my room, stayed there for 2 days. No one came to check, not even a knock. So I left, packed a bag, texted my grandpa, walked out the front door. You know what he said? Doors open, that's it. No lectures, no guilt, just open arms. I told him everything, the way they dumped everything on me. The lies, the guilt, the meltdown over a damn movie. He looked sick, then he got angry. Like actually angry. Because apparently my parents were telling the whole family they had a professional caregiver, taking money from everyone, thousands. But that caregiver was me. They just pocketed the money and threw me at every problem like I was disposable. Grandpa called the whole family, blew the lid off. Everyone was pissed. My aunts, uncles, cousins, none of them knew. They all thought I had help. They all thought my sister was being taken care of by someone trained. Nope, just me, a kid. Then came the talk, me, grandpa, and my parents. I asked why I never got a break, why they lied, why I was treated like furniture. My dad didn't even flinch, just said we had you so she'd never be alone. That was the moment I stopped seeing them as parents. Not sorry, not we were wrong, just this is why you exist. I told them I wasn't coming back, that the whole family knew, that the money was going to me now. They didn't care, just looked annoyed they got caught. Now I live with grandpa. I sleep through the night, I eat hot food, I laugh. My aunt sends the money to me directly. It's going toward college, real college, out of state, far away. My parents called the other day, not to say they miss me, not to ask how I'm doing, not to apologize. They just wanted to know when I was coming home. I blocked the number. If they're still waiting, they can choke on it.
My friend always borrowed money, so I exposed him at his wedding. My best friend Tom had a habit of borrowing money. Always had some emergency. Rent, car repairs, medical bills. He'd promised to pay back next week, next month, next year. I kept track of every loan in my notes app, watching it grow to over $15,000. Then he got engaged to a rich girl. Suddenly he had designer clothes, a new car, expensive dinners. But my money, still nothing. Times are tight, he'd say, while posting photos from his yacht trips. At his wedding, he asked me to give a best man speech. I agreed, pulling out my phone. I wrote something special, I said. The room went quiet as I started reading every loan, every date, every desperate late-night call. Even listed the excuses. His dying grandmother, who was alive, his stolen car that he'd sold, his emergency surgery for a spa day. His new wife's face went from confusion to shock. Her father, a bank executive who'd paid for this $100,000 wedding, stood up and asked how much the total was. When I said $15,000, he walked over, pulled out his checkbook, and wrote me a check right there. Consider it a wedding gift, he told his new son-in-law. And your last one. We'll discuss this at home. Tom never asked to borrow money again. Actually, he never spoke to me again. But his wife sent me a thank you card. Turns out I wasn't the only one. She'd found a notebook full of loans totaling over $50,000. Sometimes the best wedding gift is the truth.
What has your child's school done that got you so mad you went in and read the riot act to the teacher or principal? My daughter called from school saying she'd been suspended for fighting. She wouldn't say much, just that the principal gave her a 2-week suspension. I went home, grounded her, and took her phone. Then calls from other girls started rolling in. Turns out, a jock from a wealthy family had a habit of grabbing girls, and my daughter was one of his targets. She fought back, and he ended up in the ER. I ungrounded her, and she finally told me what happened. The next morning I took her to school, and the principal stopped us at the door, saying she was suspended. I told him we were going to his office, unless he wanted to do this outside. In his office, I told him my daughter's suspension had to be lifted and that the boy had a choice: 30-day suspension with mental evaluation or felony charges. The principal called the boy's mom, who threatened to charge my daughter. I said, let the police sort it. Your son has a history, and I have witnesses. Then the principal dropped a bomb. You don't want to mess with one of the finest families in the city. That's when I realized he was covering for the boy because he was connected to the family. I told him, I don't make threats, I make promises. Someone needs to teach this kid that this behavior won't be tolerated before he winds up in prison. The boy got suspended, transferred, and my daughter's record was cleared.
I waited 25 years to get my revenge, and it was more than worth it. My stepdad, Rick, moved into our house when I was just 8 years old. Mom was head over heels for him, and honestly, so was I at first. He brought me cool gifts, took me fishing, and even helped me with my science fair projects. But at home, when Mom wasn't around, he was different. If I left a toy on the floor or forgot to take out the trash, he'd get this look in his eyes. "Your mom doesn't need to know how you really behave, does she?" he'd say, squeezing my shoulder just a little too hard. By the time I was 12, the mask had completely slipped. He'd accidentally break my things when Mom was working late shifts at the hospital. Once, he threw my baseball signed by Derek Jeter right into our fireplace because I didn't mow the lawn exactly how he wanted. "Tell your mom, and I'll make sure she knows what a disappointment you really are," he'd whisper. When I tried telling Mom anyway, Rick had already planted seeds. "Poor kid has quite an imagination," he'd say with that perfect smile. "Remember how he made up that story about seeing a wolf in the backyard last month?" I learned to keep quiet. I kept a hidden journal of everything he did, tucked inside a hollow science textbook on my shelf. On my 18th birthday, I got accepted to a college across the country. Rick seemed thrilled to finally get rid of me. As I packed my things, he leaned against my doorframe. "Don't bother coming back for holidays," he smirked. "Your mom and I could use the alone time." That night, I heard them arguing downstairs. Mom was upset I was going so far away. "He's running from something," she said. "I just don't understand why he won't talk to me anymore." Rick's voice was soft, convincing. "Some boys just need space from their mothers. It's normal, trust me." I left for college the next day with my secret journal tucked in my bag. 4 years later, Mom called me in tears. Rick had cleaned out their bank accounts. Every penny of her retirement savings gone. He'd been gambling for years, she said. She felt so stupid for not seeing it. I wanted to tell her everything then, but what good would it do? She was already broken. Instead, I moved back home to help her rebuild. Every few years, we'd hear rumors about Rick. He'd remarried a wealthy widow in Florida. Then he was running a boat tour business in the Caribbean. Mom eventually found happiness with a kind man who actually deserved her. Meanwhile, I built a successful life, got married, had kids, started an accounting firm, but I never forgot about Rick. I used my professional skills to keep tabs on him over the years, just little checks, nothing illegal. I tracked his moves from one scam to another across 3 states. Then, after 25 years, I saw my chance. Rick had wormed his way into becoming the treasurer of a charity foundation in Arizona. According to their financial filings, large sums were being moved around in suspicious patterns. I didn't want innocent people to suffer, so I set up an anonymous email account and sent detailed documentation of Rick's past frauds to the foundation's board members, along with instructions on what to look for in their accounts. 3 weeks later, it hit the local news. Rick was arrested for embezzling over $200,000 from a children's cancer charity. His newest wife was interviewed, crying about how she had no idea who he really was. I watched his perp walk on YouTube. Same smug face, now older and panicked as reporters shouted questions. I noticed he still had that nervous habit of adjusting his collar when he lied. Mom called me that evening. "Did you see the news about Rick?" she asked quietly. "Yeah, I did," I replied, trying to keep my voice neutral. There was a long pause. "You know," she finally said, "I found your old journal in the attic about 10 years ago when I was packing to move." My heart stopped. "Mom, No," she interrupted. "I should have known. I should have protected you." Her voice cracked. "Did you have anything to do with this?" I thought about lying, but we'd had enough secrets. I just made sure the right people saw who he really was. She was quiet for a moment. "Good," she finally whispered. "I'm going to sleep better tonight than I have in 30 years. I hung up and opened a bottle of wine I'd been saving for a special occasion. As I poured a glass, my oldest son came into the kitchen and asked why I was smiling. "Just thinking about an old science project that finally worked out," I told him. "The results were definitely worth the wait."